The 5th of April 2024. I always have to be very careful to get those three figures correct, particularly the month and the year, because it's very easy to slip if you're used to saying March and saying April. This is April. All recent videos uploaded since I was banned are all made in early April or very late March. This is Renewable Energy Roadshow, the Farmers Journal. Now, this morning on the news, they're all on about a new offshore wind farm off the coast of Wicklow and Codling wind farm and all this stuff and all of this, and shouting about how many million homes it will power. According to them, it would actually power most of the world, all free, no oil, no anything else. Now, this is what Radio Television spouts out, and you know yourself my attitude, there's no need for me to go there. They have to go to planning, they admit that. We all know the business model. They try to get it built. The minute they have it built, they hand the keys over to some pension fund, which is foolish enough to buy it, and then they're stuck with a loss-making project forever. And Ireland's government's policy is more and more of this. And I've read you out the accounts of some of them, and I've shown you all of that, where none of them make money, and neither will the offshore. The speed of the wind offshore is almost the same as onshore. When you take the losses, taking the power in, the build-up of grit and dirt and salt on the blades and everything, there is no difference. And that's in a book by John Edrington, a famous geologist, called The Wind Farm Scam. Anyway, I'm moving to something else. It's on the Farmers Journal and it's all over. There's a roadshow on renewable energy. Now, I want to put it clear to farmers. They're trying to get the farmers to take these things. When you go to the roadshow, I'll give you a few questions to ask them. It's up to you to ask them. I won't have time to go near it. I wouldn't waste my time talking to the silly idiots. The first is the employment it will create. Now, naturally, it will create employment when they manage to borrow money, which Rah Wind Farm beside me is all from the banks, usually from something like Bank of Ireland, AIB, Allied Irish Bank and other banks, and these banks are prepared to throw our money to them, and they are going to go wallop over this. The banks are in serious trouble in America and everywhere else, and there's going to be a serious financial crisis. But in any event, the employment thing, yes, when they're being built. When they're gone, what have you? You have somebody made a stack with a big old company digging holes. Their number of employees at Rah Wind Farm in Cavan is zero, Z-E-R-O. There is no record of any employees anywhere, all farmed out, an odd repair van fixing it and that, but the companies employ nobody except the executives. That's the first question to ask them. How many will it employ? And when they tell you about all the millions, divide up between building it and running it, and you can tell them that the wind farms currently employ nobody. So there's the first lie. You can put that to them. The next question is the business model. The business model is for a company to be formed, borrow all this money, make money out of it, get it built, get it running, and have the minister down cutting the tape, and sell it as soon as possible to either an energy company like DSB or SSE or the toll roads or some other licensed body guaranteed by the Irish state, the taxpayer, right? Or sell it on to some crowd like Ofsted or whatever. Greencoat Renewable Power will probably be looking at it. Their share price should be 100 to break even. It should be more than 100 with inflation. Today their share price is 87. So if they can't bring their share price above 100, how is this company going to do it with the very same product? Where is their offices? The offices for Rah Wind Farm and Cool Wind Farm, which was refused permission in County Westmeath, is in 4200 Airport, Cork Airport. Now, you have to have an office, but that's where they are. I'll bet if you call or you're down there and look them up, you won't find too many around there. Their directors are given there on it. So where are the offices going to be? They are not going to have a big place like Gypsum Industries or Kingspan or big office. You're going to have nothing, only a little office up a corridor, down a long hall and into the left, and there might be an old electric heater in it, or there might not. So the business model is get it off, get it bought over by some foreign company, and all of this. Now, the next thing you have to ask as a farmer is leasing. Now, if you look on their accounts, they value the leases to hold on land about 20 times bigger than the value of the land itself. That's because there's fake accounting going on. Oh, sure, we have a lease there on that farm at Johnny McGinty. We'll put 6 million on it or whatever, or 100,000 or whatever, any figure. It's not realistic because most farmers would let access to the lands for a lot less than that in a year. But the point about leasing is, what is the long-term obligation of the wind company? And the long-term obligation is zero. As long as they stay on it, they have to pay you some rent. I have information recently that if they don't make a profit, they can stop paying you, but I can't prove that. So they'll keep paying the rent. But they have no other obligation to that land whatsoever. They can go in on it, put millions of euros worth of concrete, stone, gravel, windmills, reinforcement bar, and all of that, and just walk off and leave it, because they are simply limited companies, limited by the value of their shares. And if you take the Ra wind farm, its borrowings, it has no shares. There's only €1,000 in shares. It's all bank borrowed, and the bank has no obligation, only to take the interest and the principal off them. The bank has no further obligation, because if the wind company put it on land they owned, the bank could take the whole wind farm and the land and sell it for its agricultural value, for its sites and everything else. But with this way, the bank can only take the lease and the wind infrastructure, which is worthless. They can't take the land. And that has implications for Section 160 of the Planning and Development Act, which states any citizen can force these be taken down. So if at any stage in the future these things become unviable, or they break, or becomes no profit in it for any company, most of which you would never ever locate the actual owners of Ra wind farm. You would need to go to London and suss it out in a big way. You want to try serving any documents on that, you serve a nuisance claim on any of these wind farms, they can fold up. And that is a big mistake for companies suing wind companies, or for people who are suffering noise and nuisance. I will not make that mistake. You sue the wind company and the owner of the land. You sue both. In the case of the one down in Wexford, we'll have a look at that. But if it goes bottom up, you have all your expenses gone and no money, and you have no case against the wind farm owner itself. You have to start all over again. So that's a thing. What is the status of the land under the lease, and what are you stuck with if the thing goes wrong? You're talking about 50 times the value of the land. They'll take the land off you if you're a private farmer. If you're not limited, could take your house off you. They could take other property. They could take the cattle. They can take all. They can take everything, and maybe leave you with a small wee place to live or a lean-to. They can take the whole lot and sell it and put it up for sale. And at the moment, if you had a big dairy company beside you or that, they might come in and take the land and just leave the windmills there. But the obligation to remove all this, including the passes, falls to the landowner. That's something you need to ask them, and ask them big time, and see what they get, and see what they say, and post underneath. You're liable for removing those things at the end of the period of planning, and they have a lifespan of no more than 20 years. They'll be obsolete by that time. A lot of this green baloney will be gone. They will be gone, and so you don't know. You're still looking. You might get no money for it. It might be worthless, and you have to deal with this stuff on your land. Nobody will buy it. There was a farm for sale in County Clare. I inquired about it, and they told me, yes, this infrastructure is there. It's a great little earner. You'll get a bit of profit. But then I asked, what after the planning permission's up? What do you do? And it clearly looked to me like the landowner or the farmer of rough piece of land was trying to get out, escape and get away and wash his hands of it. Sell it, get it on, and get some mug to buy it. How long will the mugs remain? Will they remain for 10 or 15 years? Do people not cop on eventually? And do politicians who push this stuff get sacked? You look at Fine Gael, who's full speed behind this. Where is Richard Bruton? He's not standing for election. Where is Simon Coveney, whom I had a row with? He's not going up for minister anyway. He'll have very little say. What will happen if we get a lot of the politicians for this kicked out? What will happen, Luke Bing, Flanagan and all of these that's all for this? You could see a change, and your land is going to be stuck with this stuff on it and law cases coming down the track. You might will it over to your son. Do you want to give that to your son? Do you want to give that to your daughter? Instead of it being an asset, it's a millstone round your neck, okay, and around their neck. The next question to ask this renewable energy roadshow is, I'll rub out that leasing there, is what about European Court of Justice, the highest court in the EU, on the SEA, the Strategic Environmental Assessment, which says that wind farms built from 2006 are built under guidelines which have never been assessed under Article 3.2 of that Directive 2001/42/EC and have no legal status. It said they can't be granted permission and they can't be retained. They have to have their permission taken away. It only takes one person to go to court to force this and force it right up through the Irish courts and over to Europe, and bingo, that wind farm is gone. Once that precedent is set, you don't have to fight it again. Anyone can get these pulled down. So what are you going to do when you get this notice? What will the wind farm company do if they can't fight it? Now remember, the French court in Holland, they're not going ahead with any more wind farms. They can't get over this. They have done no SEA because the SEA assessment would show they're a cod, they're a scam. Now, in the French highest court in France has also ruled that this is the law of the European Union. So there are 27 member states and 25 have already ruled that this applies, that wind farms are illegal because the guidelines they're built under were never properly assessed. So there's a question to ask them. C2419. You go into Curio on the European Court of Justice and search C2419. I have no doubt the wind crowd on the roadshow will tell you that's nonsense. Oh, pay no heed to him. Oh, he's anti-wind. Pay no heed to him. It's you that has the baby. It's you that's holding it. If you had if some fella was running a scrapyard on your land and no one spotted him, and all of a sudden it's noticed that this is there, and there's oil leaking and everything else, it's you that's brought to court. It's you that'll be made take it out. Not the right. You could argue, and these people will probably say that we won't let you down, we'll stick with you. But you have to understand the law on limited companies and a private farmer. A limited company is limited by the value of its shares only. It can walk off, and all that can be done is take whatever shares they have. In Rara Wind Farm, it's €1,000. The farmer, everything he has is on the line. Everything. The cattle shed, the lorry, the land, the wee bit extra he bought last year, the whole kit and caboodle is on the line if a big award is made against him. And he has the property and he could lose it. So now I've given you a few pointers. I don't want to spend any more time on it. These are the questions to ask them. I've given you the lead what to ask. You can post underneath your question and I'll make another video on it if you want. I could go into this for 1,000 years, but if people are not prepared to listen, that's all right. That's all right. Remember, in the Wexford that I read in the paper, in the Wexford nuisance case, and there has been a nuisance case in Tipperary. In those cases, the court said there is nuisance. There is nuisance here. There is nuisance. But what the people did that sued, they sued the wind farm company. But it won't be too long till they'll renege or something will happen and they'll sue the farmer as well. Now, if they sue the farmer and the wind farm company, then the wind farm company, of course, can pay and do all this. They can do that, certainly. But as a fallback, the farmer has a major big nuisance on his farm. That's what you have, a huge big nuisance proven in at least 2 courts in Ireland. Is that enough? That's what you need to ask them. They'll be blowing hot and cold. They'll be all over the Celt and everything else. This is a fake news situation. I said these things are a scam, but that's not what need worry you. If I would say, try and eke out a living as best you can. Stay away from this sort of junk, and that's all it is junk. Folks, that's all I can say. You listen or not, don't complain to me. If Mr. Sean Quinn, I don't like to involve him in this, and he had windmills, if he had listened to me when he was doing the stuff with the contracts for differences, and after I did a course on it, he wouldn't have lost so much. I was right in that. But I met him at a funeral, and I thought of saying to him, and I said, you can't really, I didn't want to do that, and I don't think he'd listen. But that's the fact. And I'll meet any barrister, any solicitor, any wind farm company. No problem. It's no problem, folks. You come along and we'll get through it. That's the law. That's the law of the land. They only have a lease, and that is a very tenuous connection to it. No other company would get away with that. I don't think any company would get away with coming in on land, paying a bit of a premium without any bit of legality or any premium or anything set up for what happens if things goes wrong. You need legal advice. You need to pay for a barrister, and ask them too. Will they pay for legal advice? Will they give you €2,000 to get a legal advice off a barrister? Go into your local solicitor and get legal advice from a barrister. If you can't get one, I could possibly organise somebody for you that will give you a legal opinion. Look up section 160 of the Planning and Development Act as amended 2000. It's online there. And there you are. And that's the situation. And not only that, I read it that if I wanted to take a 160 application against a wind farm or a farmer, I only pay my own costs. The farmer's caught for my costs and his costs in some cases. Now, we'll not go too far on that, but that's the situation, and that is it. The roadshow now will be blaring out of it. It'll be on RTE News. It'll be on Ear to the Ground. It'll be on everything. It'll be on the Farmer's Journal. It'll be on everything. I doubt if the Farmer's Journal would print a letter from me now. That's it, folks. Pass it around. Do what you like. It's on your head. It is. Now, what's the point in getting 500,000 in a lump in the bank? Oh, look at all the money I have. Oh, 500,000. They'll take a lot of it away on tax. Oh, I have 350,000. Oh, that's great. What good is that if it costs 5 million to remove this junk? Answer me. Good luck. We'll see you back.